Here at Inside Carolina Studios, I'm Ross Martin alongside Greg Barnes. Greg, we have a pretty good idea what UNC's roster is going to look like next season. Cameron Johnson has elected to come back for his last and second year of eligibility with the Tar Heels. Luke May has declared for the NBA draft but is not hiring an agent, and we kind of expect him to be back as well. UNC also returns Kenny Williams along with a plethora of underclassmen. And some freshmen that are becoming sophomores, and then some really talented incoming freshmen as well. When you look at this lineup, there's some question marks. There's some spots we kind of know who's going to be there. When you're looking at it, what kind of stands out? What are the big things we should be talking about?
Well, I think the biggest question mark for sure is going to be point guard. We can and we will discuss kind of the depth at other positions, which I think is a good thing. But at point guard, you're looking at, okay, Seventh Woods has been injured most of his career, really didn't play a whole lot when he finally came back this past season, but he's kind of the front runner for the job right now. And as you mentioned, you got a guy like Kobe White coming in, very highly touted, a recruit. He's really a combo guard. They've been trying to get him to work at being a point guard a little bit, to improve his handle and learning how to run teams. And then of course you got some other guys that can possibly do it. Kenny Smith Jr. Is a guy that played at Pacific.
Yeah, KJ Smith.
KJ Smith.
Yeah.
And then who else you got? Yeah, Playtech, who possibly could do it. So you've got a couple options there.
And Leaky Black could also get some on there as well. So the point guard is a big question. Of course, Kobe White could win that job, but we think Seventh Woods is going to be the guy with kind of the head start going into this season. Shooting guard, Kenny Williams, and then we move to the small forward, the 3 spot. Nasir Little is a freshman, the #2 player in the 24/7 Sports ranking, 6'7" guy. And there's Cameron Johnson, 6'8", kind of smooth shooting guy. Not as talented as Nasir Little, but he's played underneath Roy. This is Cameron Johnson. What do you think kind of goes on there with who gets that starting spot? How does that kind of, those last 3 spots kind of work out for Roy Williams?
The interesting thing about this is that I think the answer lies in what happens at the 5 spot.
Yeah.
Because if nobody improves and gets better and claims that 5 spot, and I'm talking about Garrison Brooks, Sterling Manley, Brandon Huffman, then maybe Roy goes back to that small lineup. However, with how last season ended, with the A&M game where A&M beat Roy Williams at his own game, I'm sure that drove him nuts. He wants to get back to that traditional 2 big lineup, which means that probably it's going to be Manley or Brooks starting at the 5. You know Luke's going to start at the 4, and then you've got 2 guys battling for 1 position. I think Cameron Johnson's the guy to pencil in. I think Nas will get plenty of playing time.
Yeah, and so you're on record of thinking that they're going to go traditional 2 bigs, Luke May, and then either Sterling Manley or Garrison Brooks.
Yes. Should
have a big jump with those big men going from freshman year to sophomore year with a whole season underneath their belt and a whole off season in the weight training program, and that Nas Little, the #2 player coming out of high school, starts on the bench, but we're all in agreement he's probably going to play around 25 to 30 minutes, given his talent. And so it's very interesting. I'm sure we'll talk about a lot more, but we kind of know.
Well, wait, what do you think?
I mean, I agree that it's going to be hard for Roy to bench Cameron Johnson. And I think Cameron Johnson brings a lot of good things to the table. He had a really good season last season. I think eventually Nasl is going to start. And I think he's going to be pressured to start. It's just he's too good. And maybe 10, 15, 20 games in, we'll have Nasl starting, and then UNC will go small. But I think it doesn't matter. I think they're going to have 6 starters. And that, you know, Cam Johnson, Nasl will all play kind of a similar amount. And even with some of the big men, you'll probably see the numbers of the big men go down. Nasl will get more time because he is a bigger player. He can rebound. He's bigger than Theo Pinson. He's taller. He's longer. He's maybe a little thicker as well. So it'll be super interesting.
Yeah, I think best case scenario for this team is Sterling Manley lives up to that potential that we all saw, that he passes his final running test this summer so he can actually start a game.
Yeah.
Kobe comes in, really handles the point guard position well. 7th improves. You've got options there. And then Nas ends up being as good as we think it's going to be. And in that situation, kind of like you say, now you're looking at 6 legitimate guys that can start. That is a great problem to have.
Exactly, and I'm sure we'll talk about a lot more as the season comes around in October and November. For Inside Carolina, I'm Ross Martin alongside Greg Barnes.